serpent and the eagle, right? Oh no, it was a serpent and
the serpent. Oh no, that's something different. That's the giants.
Oh, okay,
that's the eagle clan of giants, serpent clan of giants. What I was talking about, the second age lineage, is the lineage that came to be from the surviving serpents that survived the end of the first age, and they grew into human beings. That was the first human beings native to this planet. Because the giants came in the first age, but they weren't from here. They came from Chichi, from the underworld.
Right.
They opened up a portal and came through here. They're not native to this world.
Right.
But that's the bloodline of the Babylonians, the Phoenicians, the Sumerians. That's the kingship bloodline. And like I said before, they forcefully coalesced with second age lineage people only. They would not, coalesce with third age bloodlines or fourth age bloodlines. So our bloodline got mixed in with the giants because during the second age, our people lived in peace and harmony as hunter-gatherers in our, Eden, I guess you'd call it, paradise. In the third age, the kingdom of the giants came back from out of the inner earth, back to the surface, and then colonized our people, colonized all the animals, colonized all the plants. And when they did that, they took the third age bloodline, which had, evolved from the monkeys, the Osamatlaja, the monkey people, and they made them their miners and their workers and their slaves and their human sacrifice in bulk. And then they took the race of the second age lineage, which they looked very different physically, they could tell, and they made them the priest class, the Teypohs'weepeehl. They killed most of all the men, and the giants slept with the women of the second age bloodlines, and they made them the priest class, the Teypohs'weepeehl. And that was in Aztlan, or Atlantis. That's in the third age. That's way before the Mideast, that's way before Africa, that's way before all that shit. That's way before the current configuration of land masses we see today.
Yeah.
It wasn't until Aztlan sunk that then the modern quote-unquote nations of the Bible would even come to be. Those are all descendants from when Aztlan sunk and Numeria sunk. All those giant, remember the way the arcs, that they landed different parts of the world and they colonized different peoples in the fourth age.
So Atlantis would be Aztlan.
Yeah, Atlantis is Aztlan. That's what they call the Atlantic Ocean. That's Atlantic. It means
so that
Aztlan,
when they say that Aztlan or Atlantis sunk into the ocean, is that what they're saying?
Yeah, so when the third age ended, the majority of Aztlan sunk. Aztlan stretched from east coast to west coast. It was a series of islands across the equator of where the equator used to be. Now, when the third age ended and the great deluge happened, the great flood of Atlantis, most of it went underground. All the center parts that's in the Atlantic Ocean went underground, but parts of it stayed above the water. And the poles shift at the end of each age. So the 33rd northern parallel of today's age used to be where the equator was during the third age. So that's why all the pyramids, every single fucking one will line up the 33rd northern parallel.
Have you ever watched if you ever watch documentaries, do you remember how they can't solve that shit?
Yeah.
That's because of that.
Literally. That's the reason why pyramids in Egypt, pyramids in Turkey, pyramids in Mexico, pyramids in Central America, Aztlan used to stretch across. Those are the parts of Aztlan that are still above water. In the Nile Valley region of Africa, in Tibet, in Asia, in Mexico.
So that was before the deluge.
That was before the deluge. Those pyramids were built before the deluge.
Right.
Every time the age ends, they go back there. Right. They recolonize the local population. They force them to rebuild them, to renovate them, to get them working again. That's why the carbon dating is off. It's way the fuck off. Because they've had to keep rebuilding those stone cities so many times.
Yeah.
They build on what's left. Does that kind of make sense?
Because those are where the Earth produces a big amount of energy. Wherever they put a big military base, that's where there's a big part.
This will trip you out. What they were doing, so the Teypohs'weepeehl, the pyramids, what pyramids do, they pyramids, this shape right here, when you create a pyramid, like I said, point of a blade, from the bottom it creates an anion field, which means it pulls upwards, and from the tip, the center, it creates an ion field, which means it pushes. So it pulls. That's why you can take like a block of wood, right? I can poke against your leg, won't do nothing. But if I sharpen it and I make that shape, it'll puncture into you because it's pulling energy out, right, from what's behind it up into the sky. Check this out. The equator of where it was in the third age was solar plexus. It was the Earth's solar plexus, where they were building all those Teypohs'weepeehl. They were using Teypohs'weepeehl, the stone pyramids, to overstimulate the solar plexus chakra of Mother Earth to drop her frequency. Because they were attempting to merge this realm with the one beneath it, which is Mars. So check this out, when the pole shifted,
And that's what they're still trying to do with CERN.
now they're using CERN, 5G, now they're using human beings.
Right. And
So-
that's why we're all with the metal shit.
Exactly. But that's the reason why they stopped using the pyramids, because when the pole shifted and it went north, that's Earth's heart chakra now. The 33rd northern parallel is the ley lines and energy points that correlate with the heart chakra. So they had to abandon that. So now they developed the technology of 5G and CERN. So they're going to use that instead, and then using people.
Will it succeed?
Yeah.
In our prophecy, it says they will. They'll succeed at merging the realm. They're going to merge this realm with the one right beneath us, which
Right.
will depend on Mars.
What do you do? What do you do in the meantime?
Prepare.
How?
Diet.
Right?
That's where it all starts. Because, so eating a Western diet, like you see all the chemtrails, right? You know about those?
Yeah.
Like you look up in the sky and see all that
Yeah.
shit following.
Yeah.
And what they say, what NASA says we're doing that to try to attempt to reestablish an ionosphere. Because the atmosphere is being eroded, because of carbon or whatever
Yeah.
excuses they make up. That's a
The
natural.
sun, they're trying to block the sun.
Yeah, that's a natural process. When we're in this process of the precession equinox, the atmosphere becomes very thin. Because what flows through the sun is divine influence. That's what that is. Because the great mystery, we get our cognition from it flowing to the sun into our parietal lobe, our Teypohs'weepeehl, crown chakra. So they're trying to block that out. And they're spreading all these heavy metals, aluminum, barium, uranium. And NASA says it. They say, yeah, we are dumping all this shit.
Yeah.
We're doing it because we're trying to protect people from the sun. So all that shit falls onto the soil. It gets into the groundwater, it gets into all the vegetables and all the plants we eat. So for one, plants will kill you because the fiber, the natural poisons, the natural toxins in them, we're not supposed to eat them as a human being, only ruminants are. Secondly, they're fully saturated in all those heavy metals. So when you eat them, all that shit gets stored, and since your lymph system is blocked up by the fiber, it's all going into your pineal, your pituitary, your parietal, all in your glands and all in your adiposity. So you become, because heavy metals are superconductive to ELFs, extreme low tonal frequencies.
Yeah.
So when they fire that shit up, that 5G, you're like a fucking antenna. You know what I mean? But if you can get all that shit out of you, you get your lymph system working, and you stop eating plants, because check this out, animals have a lymphatic system. You know what I mean? Plants don't. So animals have a lymph system. So that means when you eat an animal's flesh, it's purified its own flesh. It's purified its own fat from those heavy metals that it may be breathing in when it's eating grass. It's like a filter, a living filter. So when you eat their flesh and fat, healthy animals, healthy wild animals, and free-range animals, they filtered all that shit out from you.
Right.
Plants, even fruits, don't have lymph systems. So when you eat that, instantly, all the shit that the Roundup spray, all the heavy metals that they're dumping from the skies, instantly goes into your adiposity, your fat stores, which is your brain, your glands. So most civilized people are fucking lit up with barium, uranium, aluminum. That's what most sicknesses and diseases are caused from, is the inflammation that tries to quarantine those systems of the body. It creates autoimmune disorders, creates various types of mental, nervous system diseases, like Alzheimer's, autism, shit like that. So what you do is you begin that. You know what I mean? You go into diet.
For a while, I've been very, very focused on the diet. Now I'm becoming like.
I was gonna say, ask him what he eats, bro. What do you eat? What's your diet consist of?
We call it the Chichi palio.
You wanna get it? It's right. I think where'd you put it? Alright, put it over there now. That's not. I put it over. I think it's by the TV.
This is what I can explain it.
Yeah.
So the Chichi palio is how our people lived in the second age before the giants enslaved us. When we were still all Chichi, the original eight sister bands of Chichi, which means true indigenous people, those that live among the dogs, was the Chichi palio. That was part of the original instructions. And what that consists of is eating nothing but wild, healthy, free-range, raw animal meat and flesh, and then wild gathered fruits, and then wild honey. And that's it. That's how our people lived until we were enslaved. We never ate a plant, we never ate a seed, never ate those things. Human beings are not supposed to eat those things. We eat those things until they were forcefully imposed upon us. And we were enslaved in Aztlan and forced to become human cattle.
You're good. Sure, Paul?
Nah, I'm good. Then we had to eat those things. Then we were living on the run. We were having to do that too. We had to dig up roots and eat them, and eat whatever we could find, because after the Third Age ended and the Fourth Age began, we were refugees in this new land, the Americas. That parts of the Americas was a part of Aztlan, like parts of the Southwest, the Four Corners region. That was part of Aztlan. Parts of Mexico, Cholula. But a lot of all the other stuff is new. You know what I mean? So we're in this new land. And then the giants come back in the form of Olmecs in the Fourth Age. They landed and they start recolonizing, reconquering. So our people are on the run, you know what I mean? So throughout the Fourth Age, we're pretty much being sieged by the giants, hiding in the cliff dwellings, having to build fortified structures. That's where you get like the Anasazi cultures. And so we've been stripped away from that. The very moment, just like how I said before, how we unwind the colonization process, we walk it back, everything realigns itself. Mental health, physical health, spiritual, it all realigns itself. In the past 2 years alone, I've cured 15 people of incurable diseases. Completely, I was their last, how you say,
Resort.
their last resort. You know what I mean? They'd done everything. They went to Dr. Sebi's island, they went to specialists in LA, put second mortgages on their fucking houses to cure themselves from different forms of autoimmune diseases, and they were all terminal. Blood cancer, colon cancer, type 1, type 2 diabetes, Hashimoto's, Morgellons, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, lupus, pancreatic cancer, pituitary tumors. They had nowhere else to go. And I cured them, every single one. Autism, 2 children with autism. I've cured every single one of them within 3 months. Fully cured. Fully fucking cured. Me, myself, 2.5 years ago, I was 85 pounds. And I was unable to walk, and I was given 2 days left to live. I don't go to a gym. I don't fucking lift weights or nothing. You know what I mean? And this is just 2.5 years later, because I live out in the land. I do some pull-ups, do some push-ups, and my body is just building itself this way, because I was a vegan 5 years before that. For one, I could never accept my great-grandmother's teachings fully. This was the one part that I couldn't accept, because I grew up in the barrio, so like corned beans and rice, I was like, that can't be wrong, fuck that, you know what I mean? So I went into like a cognitive dissonance and could never accept that. I dealt with violence so much every day in, day out, my entire fucking life. About 7 years ago, I was like, I'm just gonna be a vegan, because I don't want to feel that, anything that has to do with violence anymore. I just don't want to, unless if it's like work stuff, then whatever, but other than that, like I don't want to bring it home.
Right.
So I was a vegan 5 years, and I was a real vegan, which means like I had the Teypohs'weepeehl, my wooden planting stick. I planted my corns, my bean, my squash out in the middle of the petrified desert for 5 years. I grew my own food, and at the end of it, I was 85 pounds. My liver was failing, my kidneys were I was dead. That's for a host of different reasons too, though. A host of different reasons. Just the veganism was making it worse. It was mostly because I developed a condition called, traumatic hemophilia, from gunshots to the small intestine, that didn't heal right over the years. So veganism just made it worse and worse. Because at the end of it, I was 85 pounds. I'd be airlifted. A sister named Sonka Nunfa, she found me on the land. I was on a hill and I was praying, because during that 5 years I was trying to find a way to cure myself. I tried everything. I tried fruitarianism near the end too, because my planting field, it was just making me sicker. And that was like using all traditional methods, fermenting the beans, fermenting the corn, doing everything according to like Masewali culture perfectly, like Hopi, Zuni culture perfectly, and this made me worse. So I died. I'm airlifted to a hospital in Phoenix. They tell me, yeah, like, you're done. You know what I mean? Like, if you have anyone to call. We can give you morphine, but like, you're done. Your pancreas is already starting to rupture. All your organs are shutting down. I was bleeding out of my pores, like out of my eyes, my ass, I was sweating blood. They're like, yeah, you're done. And I'd received a vision before that though, and it was my great grandmother when I died, because they had to resuscitate me on the helicopter right there. And my great grandmother, she was there up under the roof of the sky, and she was like, you know what I mean? Like, look what you did. Like, I told you, you know what I mean? And she sat me up there and she gave me every single piece of understanding, every story, everything she taught me already. And I just sat there in the spirit world at her feet. And then when I came back to, I knew exactly what I had to do to heal myself. I had to finally accept the Chichi palio. I had to finally become a hunter again. I was like, so I woke up and the sister was next to me too. She had a pituitary tumor. She was dying. She had 2 weeks left to live. And she was the one that found me on the land. And she was like in critical condition, like back and forth in the hospital during that time too. She was a vegan as well for 5 years. And so she's in the bed next to me, and they tell her she's got 2 weeks left to live because the tumor keeps on getting bigger, and it was making her thyroid overproduce, and her organs were failing. She has all her paperwork and everything still, all of it, fucking all of it. She got all the receipts, so I can prove to fucking people this shit. So I tell her when I wake up from this vision, the doctors say, you know, you only have 2 days to live. Like, we can make you comfortable with a bunch of morphine, but like, you're done. It's done. It's over with. And they told the sister, you got 2 weeks left to live. As well, we can't do anything. You know what I mean? Like, we're sorry. They wanted to transfer her to another facility, like a hospice, for her to die. And I'm sitting there like at 2 a.m. in the morning, waiting till the doctors leave, and I was like, yo, get me out of here. Like, if you can break me out of here, I'll heal us. She's like, are you sure? I'm like, yo, like, you know, like, you're gonna die anyways, I'm gonna die anyway, they can't do nothing. And she's like, you really mean it? I was like, yes, I received the vision of Ochita, simply. Like, just get me out of here, I'll heal us. Get me out of here, call your friend, have us, you know, pick me up and take me north where I can get what I need. She's like, fuck it. And she was only like 100 pounds herself. She was all sucked up, all fucking in her dying state. And around 3, 4 a.m., she got up when there's no doctor and she picked me right up. She only weighed 85 pounds, you know. She only weighed 100 pounds, I don't know how she did, but she picked me right the fuck up. We snuck out of there, her friend met us outside, she threw me in the back of the truck, and we went up north into Missouri where her stepfather and mother lived. There's a bunch of farms out there, so I was able to get everything I need, like little family-owned farms that have like 20 acres and free-range cows and chickens and shit like that. She was cured within 30 days like that.
What did you need?
I needed raw, grass-fed. So for me it was different. I'll tell you what she needed. What she needed was raw, grass-fed animal flesh and fat and organs. It means raw liver, raw kidney, raw fat, and then raw muscle. You know what I mean? Like just like raw steaks kind of. You know what I mean? From healthy, free-range or wild animals. So that was everywhere, you know, in Missouri. Me, myself, I had to make something called Chichi palio, which is like raw animal milk. Back then it was made from raw human milk. The women, like, when a warrior would get punctured, like stabbed in the stomach, obviously back then there's no hospitals. So what do? You know what I mean? He can't eat, he can't do anything. He's gonna, his intestines are gonna rot, he's gonna be, you know, he's gonna have an infection, he's gonna die from that. So when this would happen, when a man would return from battle or ceremonial combat and he had a puncture wound from a spear or an arrow that penetrated into his intestine, all the women that were breastfeeding would get these gourds and they would put their milk in it and they would cover it and put it by the mesquite tree, and they would let it ferment for like 3 days. And after 3 days, it'd be like a thick yogurt. It's pretty yogurt. And they'd give that to the men. And then anytime an animal was hunted, they'd drain the blood and they'd give that man the blood and then the raw yogurt. And that's how our people healed intestinal wounds from punctures. So I had to do that for 3 months solid. The sister could just go right onto the Chichi palio, which is just raw animal flesh, raw animal fat, raw animal organs, and raw honey and stuff like that. And she was solid. Me, I had to do that for 3 months solid. And then after that, I had to eat nothing but just, my stomach was so fucked up that I couldn't even digest like any type of red meat organs, like from deer or cow. So I had to do rabbit and chicken organs. Nothing but chicken liver and rabbit liver and like rabbit fat for another 3 months. And then once I got to, I think like, wasn't until 9 months was I able to finally eat like a piece of meat raw. Before that, it was all just rabbit and chicken, organs and fat. That was it. So for me, I had to do it different than everyone else because I was done. I was fucking, you know what I mean? But everyone else, everyone just had like pancreatic cancer, stage 3 colon cancer, liver cancer, blood cancer. Same with the sister with the pituitary tumor, that 2 weeks left to live. They just have to do the normal and they're good. me, I was just so far gone. Like, because all that gunshots to my stomach and the infection I had there was so bad, I had to go a different route, you know. And that took me a while to perfect and figure out, you know, using, I guess, that traditional knowledge my grandmother told me about what the warriors would have to do whenever they got stabbed in the small intestine.
And they would use. You mentioned the name again. I didn't catch it. Was it the raw milk?
Yeah, raw milk. Well, our ancestors used human milk. Did that tell about that part?
Yeah.
How the nursing women would do that. In modern context, you just use free range cow or sheep milk or goat milk.
And that helps heal the intestines.
It recolonizes the microbiome. That's why people that do this, I do how you say, I do recommend, because everyone's microbiome is fucked from eating all the plants, everyone's microbiome is completely fucked. So to reestablish a proper pH and to recolonize the microbiome with all the natural flora and fauna that you get when you're a baby, when you breastfeed on your mother and she gives you all that shit, we have to redo it all over again. Because everyone's fucked. We have all that fluoride, all that carcinogens, all the plant poisons like the lectins, the goitrogens. People's microbiomes are destroyed. So we have to rebuild the native lining of the small intestine to be able to even digest those meats. You know what I mean? Because you cannot digest meats if you have any presence of fiber in the stomach. You can't. And when you cook meat, it destroys not only the enzymes that help digest the meat and break it down, as well all the vitamins like vitamin A, vitamin C, but as well it destroys what we call as the tonalteotzin. The tonalteotzin is the sun energy, the life force. Western science calls it biophotons. And they've done tests where they can say they can take a piece of meat and it has like, let's say 200,000 biophotons, and they cook it and they scan it again, it has like 2 biophotons. That's the life force. That's the energy, you know, within it. That's what will, when you eat something, right? Your stomach is a bioreactor. It's a bioreactor. It bioreacts, the substance, the matter, and liberates the energy, the tonalteotzin. And that energy, that tonalteotzin, becomes part of your teotolontling, your energy field. So when you eat food, that's all you're trying to get, is the sun energy, the life force. Just the contained matter is like the husk, if that makes sense. So when you cook meat or you cook like anything, it it destroys that life force of it. And anything that can't be eaten without being cooked first, you shouldn't be eating. Period. Because it has to, you know, it has to be eaten raw for it to have any type of actual purpose, to have that tonalteotzin in it. So that's the reason why we eat everything raw. This is how we honor the animal, and we honor creator that lives through the animal and the energy that is in the animal. Because like when you don't cook your meat, like I eat like tops like 3/4 pounds of meat a day. That's it. Like in the morning I eat like probably, I don't know, like a handful of meat, like this much, and then at night I eat like a handful of meat like that much. So I've weighed it before, and it's like less than a pound of meat a day.
Where do you get it?
I hunt. There's elk on my land, but there's most people who live in the cities can't do that.
Yeah.
So I have them go to their local butchers that get it from local family farms. You know what I mean? They have free range grass-fed sheep, and they use humane. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where the cattle and the sheep live on the land free raising their entire life, and then one day they get a bullet in the head and it's over with. Very quick, you know, very painless. But when you do it like that, you can eat so little and you feel, you feel amazing. And on top of that, like, you get all the vitamins, like vitamin A, vitamin C, and all the enzymes, and the full tonalteotzin. So like I can eat so little and I'm gaining weight every week.
It's crazy.
You know what I mean? Every month. Your body will metabolically shift back into a fat adapted state. Which means you're not, burning sugar for your energy source, you're burning fat and protein from like the meats. They call it fat adaptation. It's a form of ketosis. That's the natural state of a human being. You can tell that because like when you're a baby, right? When you're in utero, you have an umbilical cord. Now what flows through the umbilical cord from the mother to the baby? It's not food. It's just a vessel. It's just a vein. Ketones flows through that. And then when you're born, you're put on the breast. And the breast is pure fat. It's pure fat with a little bit of milk sugars, you know. And traditionally in our culture, then a baby, once it got off the breast, it then was given like the really soft fat, soft glands, and then it was slowly transitioned to the raw meat and stuff like that. In today's culture, you know, babies, once they're pulled off the breast, even if they're breastfed, most kids aren't even breastfed these days, they're being given like baby food, which is like sugar. So then their body has to mutate. It has to metabolically mutate to learn how to burn sugars instead of fat, which is what it was used to in utero and then when it was on the breast. That's why a lot of babies get sick and die at that age when women pull them off their breast and then start feeding it baby food or carbohydrates. It fucks with them real bad. So we have to unwind that process. We have to trigger through stress and activation of epigenetics that metabolic mutation back to its original fat adapted state. And once you do that, it takes like 30 days of just like eating this way. You'll just be like priming and detoxing heavy. And then after around day 30, that metabolic mutation will happen. Your body will learn to burn fat or ketones as its main, source of fuel. And then you'll fucking take off.
Yeah.
That 30 days will be rough, but after that, man, everything, like levels of awareness, levels of physical being, strength will just start fucking skyrocketing, and it won't stop. It just continues. You know what I mean? People don't believe me when I talk about this, but there's so many people that I've got to do this now that are dealing with not just the key 15 that we're all dying of terminal illnesses, but the ones that we're just dealing, like we're super depressed, suicidal, dealing with demons and shit like that. When I put them on this, same thing. After 30 days, you're like, everything's different. Like life is different. Like I had no clue. I was like, I fucking told you. Like this is truly where it is. This is where true healing is. This is where it begins. This is it. And all day I get messages from a sister in the Netherlands, a sister in Germany, a sister in San Francisco, all over the fucking place. Arizas, Mexico, Texas, Colorado, like fucking everywhere. It's unbelievable, you know. And I know it sounds very daunting. It sounds very almost crazy, you know. But they say the only way to arrive at new destinations is by taking new turns. I mean, making new choices. And I've found that the most beautiful, high and lofty, magical destinations are found by walking the most arduous and steep paths. You know what I mean? And this true decivilization, de-domestication process is facilitated through this. It starts with the diet. It starts with the purge and the purification of the physical vessel.
Right.
The rest all comes naturally, you know?
The rest. What is the rest?
The rest would be the further becoming of a human being. Like let's say for instance you're here, let's say you started a diet, it's 3 months now, you're feeling how you're feeling, you're starting to feel those innate human being feelings like a wolf feels, you know what I mean? How it looks at everything, how it relates with this environment. You'll start to feel unwelcome in this place eventually. You'll start to feel like this doesn't have anything for you. You'll grow too big for it, you know what I mean? So you'll start wanting to be outside more. You'll start wanting to fish. You'll start wanting to hunt. All those natural impulses you get as a human being that the Creator gave to us, that's part of our sacred function, our Teypohs'weepeehl, part of the aspect we represent in this earth will start coming back. You'll get that impulse to want to hunt. You'll get that impulse to want to sleep underneath the stars. You'll get that impulse to want to drink from the streams and the springs. And it'll be so strong, you'll just begin doing it. You know what I mean? Just begin fucking doing it. Before you know it, you'll be like, I gotta get, you know what I mean? I gotta get out of here. And you'll just go, you know, and Creator will take you. And that's time and time again, like so many like single mothers and stuff that were dealing with autistic children and then having severe autoimmune disease themselves were like, there's no way I could ever leave, you know, like the city. I couldn't afford that. Or whatever excuses they came up with. Every single one of them, after the first year, are out on the land now. Every single fucking one of them. You know, they're out in the outskirts of like the redwood forest, or they've moved to like Texas or New Mexico, Arizona. Like they're all out there now. Like after about a year, the great mystery. It's like how you say, your instincts lead you. They just take you. You know, once your instincts come back to you, your natural instincts as a human being, they just like guide you. And your natural instincts is being tapped into Creator, being tapped into this Mother Earth, and her using you as an instrument, a symbiotic aspect of that natural ecology. Saying, all right, little one, go here. You know, come over here, and opening up those doors for you.
Right.
And it just happens.
Yeah.
Like me, I didn't have no money. I didn't have anything. And I have now 2.5 acres on the outskirts of the El Moro National Forest. And I have a little small 80 square foot little tiny camper I built, and one solar battery, 2 panels, and I'm just out there. You know, I sleep there at night. I live on the land, you know, and I have no rent, I have no mortgage, you know what I mean? I have no fucking utilities, I have no nothing, you know? So like, I can focus on living my life, you know, instead of working to generate the currency to try to pay rent and mortgage, you know, and wasting my life in that material world. I have the time to sit down and be human and do human things, and with that comes the knowledge, the wisdom, the physical strength, the energetic strength, the genius, because that's the natural circumstance of a human being. So when you put yourself in that natural circumstance and you allow it to, what is the word in English? You allow it to consecrate you, to make you sacred in its image, which is the Great Mystery's image, you become powerful.
Do you find yourself being at where you're at, impacting the people you want to impact, and at the level you want to impact them at?
Definitely.
Good.
Definitely, 100%. Because people have said that, like, you know, they're like, you know, don't you think you'd have more of an impact in the city? I've had people say that. They say, no, not at all. Because I'm trying to lead that exodus. You know what I mean? I'm trying to lead that fucking exodus. And I wouldn't have the power I have if I wouldn't have the level of connection I have in the earth. Because through the earth, I'm connected so strong to Creator. So that communication is fucking constant. You know what I mean? So when I come out to the city, like, I bring Teypohs'weepeehl, I bring my environment with me. I bring the natural world with me. Because people be around me like, man, like, your energy feels different. Like, you bring, you know what I mean? I can be in a very hostile environment and the energy will change as soon as I walk into the room. People are like, what is that? You know, that's Creator, you know? That's Teypohs'weepehl, that's the place among the agave. That's my ecoregion I come from. I brought it with me into the city. That's what you all feel, you know?
Is it New Mexico you're talking about?
Teypohs'weepehl stretches from central Mexico, even parts of Nicaragua, all the way up into Colorado and Wyoming. It's the arid southwest ecoregion.
Okay.
Because you have to understand, those lines never existed, you know, until, how you say, the Spanish and the English came here. Because our traditional territory was the arid southwest. It's Utah, Colorado, New Mexico, Arizona.
Intertwined.
Exactly, and we migrated back and forth. I mean, we moved. Sometimes, like every 10 years, we'd move from the coast, you know, up to, let's say, northern Texas. And then in the 5th age, we're doing a lot of migratory patterns, just following different animals, because, how you say, we're still fighting some of the last of the surviving giants. And then the Toltecs had arrived at the beginning of the 5th age, so we're still fighting them. So like my bands, my Penanteja clans of Chichi, we're following the NOB migration. And then my Coteoteja bands were following the buffalo. So we just migrated with them. Wherever the buffalo went, like throughout the year, we just followed right behind them. You know what I mean? Because I mean, like, they were very much like cattle. Like, you know, they gave us to our people because we were sacred. Like, it wasn't. That's one thing people have to understand about traditional hunting. Traditional hunting isn't based upon like how well you can be a fucking, you know, what's that word? Be like clever and be like an alpha fucking predator. In our culture, hunting, meaning the hunter, is someone who is so sacred and so righteous that the animals that need, how you say, to go through that experience to facilitate the rest of their soul progression, to liberate them from that shape or form, to get, so check this out. If you incarnate into the shape and form of a rabbit, you're there to get the rabbit experience. You know what I mean? That's the only reason why your soul will come into the shape or form of a rabbit. You're there to live the rabbit life. You're there for it. So you must experience all the things that quantify the rabbit experience for your soul to get what it needs to do to fulfill its purpose and then move on to the next incarnation. Because it starts at the very lowest and it goes higher. Like in our culture, we say the bird is the last aspect that we are before we're a human being. Our soul, when it reincarnates, it keeps on going higher. And once you leave a human being, once you've completed your tejiot simply in this realm, you then go into the lowest form in the next realm above us, you know, as would be like a worm, you know, or the equivalent in that higher realm. And you go back up, you start going upwards as your vibration increases, your level of consciousness increases. You keep working yourself up into more complex expressions of consciousness and life. back towards creator, back towards source.
Right.
So a rabbit or a buffalo or a deer is in the shape and form vessel contained that is wild game because it needs to get that experience. All the experiences that quantify and define life as wild game, which inevitably means being hunted, to go into that experience. It means the soul needs that. So we understood that, and our people weren't about, we're going to kill these animals to feed ourselves because we're afraid we won't live with them or we'll live without doing this. It was out of love and service. Saying us as a human being, we know we can facilitate this process and do it quick. You know what I mean? Because if a coyote gets them or if a wolf gets them, it's slow. It's a 3-hour, 6-hour process of being eaten alive. So our people made ourselves good, powerful hunters so we could facilitate that process fast. Real good. Boom. They got that how you say, stimulus. They got that experience. Now their soul can move on to the next higher pronunciation of life, its next reincarnation. So for us, physical survival was way below spiritual righteousness and spiritual survival. So we lived that way, and we lived the original instructions because we knew it not only sustained our environments, it not only kept the circle of life and sustained our interdependent symbiotic relationship with our environment and ecology, but as well facilitated the soul journey of the animals in which we were helping them complete their journey.
Or
in
helping
that
them
shape
get
and form.
to the next realm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The next shape and form.
That's
you know?
why like most, when we hunt a long time ago, and to this day some people still carry those songs, like my grandpa would have the songs right before you pray, and they'll come out on their own because they're willingly giving themselves to you, and it never fails. They always came out, always, you know, it just never just went to nothing. So when they sing that, they know like, okay, like it's time for me to move on to the next realm, so they'll come out and lay it down, you know what I mean? But
Literally.
nowadays it's more of a, I guess a predatorial. Yeah, it's like that approach, and now there's no understanding. That's why they don't.
There's no sacredness.
Yeah, there's no sacredness. And anything you kill, they just fucking kill it, and then they just fucking feed it. You know what I mean? There's no real.
Well, they do it for sport, you know.
Yeah, it's more of a game because the
Well,
ego,
for the wrong reason.
yeah, the ego took over and the ego's living, you know, the embodiment of the human body instead of the spiritual. So they're keeping the spiritual, you know, in this little locked corner. That's how the settlers came to fucking basically what modern day colonization is. You know, so if they can subdue your spirit, they can kind of control you without having to tell you shit. They're gonna control you from afar.
Yeah, without chains, you know.
Yeah.
So spiritual chains.
Yeah, we're enslaved by it that way. You know.
The slave is the one that don't know he's a slave.
Yep, exactly. Right. I was gonna say you want to start wrapping it up, and then we can go.